at parties before. I've had this at parties before where people have actually turned up and they've been with a group of their friends, and I've noticed the two of them are floaters. And the only reason they're there because they know that they couldn't get anywhere without this person. You've got to make sure that everyone in your room is a challenger that adds value to you because you add value to them. It's got to be an exchange. If it's not an exchange, it's a transaction and someone's sucking it out of you. So you really got to make sure that your group are the best possible group. You need the A team. And I'm constantly grading up. And this sounds horrible, but I'm constantly looking at my tribe, my group, my core. And I'm like, are you the best person for me? Are you the best? And when you demand more of them, guess who they demand more of?
Of me.
You know, yeah. If you're looking at your mate going, hey, if you're not the guy that can challenge and support me, should you really be in my room? And he's going to turn around and go, are you that person for me? You know, so you step yourself up. You make sure that there's that tribe. And I know it's very hard. And I know I may be speaking to people that are on their early legs of being an entrepreneur, okay? And I know it's tough. And I know you're sitting there in your town, in your city, in your village, and you're looking at your mates going, well, it's easy for you to say, Steve, but these boys have been with me since high school. I hate to break it to you, but they were probably pricks back then as well. People do change. They do evolve, right? You've got to make sure that they've evolved to help you. And if they've not, you've got to leave that crew. And it's tough. And the toughest ones, we'll go back to it because we mentioned it early. Some of the people you've got to avoid are your family. You know, you get 100%. Together with them at Christmas. And I've had this. I've actually worked with my uncles and my cousins gone, hey, your business could be doing this. A year later, hey, did that work? Yeah, never got around to trying it, Steve. Nah, it sounds silly. And you realize that you're trying to help them, but they're not willing to receive an action. And when that happens, you've just got to go, all right, I'll tell dirty jokes and eat the turkey with you, but after that, I'm done and I'm going home. So you've really got to focus on those people that add value to you, that you can add value to, and realize the others are just nothing more than moments of your life.
Yeah, no, I agree. Getting into the right rooms has been crucial for me. Like, it's made me level up. It's made me feel like I'm actually in that right world. Because again, when you're around people that are happy coming home and sitting at home and watching football or doing whatever, which is not a bad thing, but it's just not, I'm not happy doing that anymore. Being around the right people has totally changed my outlook, how I look at things, how I want to do things, who I want to help, the whole 9 yards. So I agree with you 100% there, Steve.
It's everything. It really is. The correct support system is everything. I'll tell you a funny story once. It wasn't funny at the time, to be honest with you, but I got a good friend of mine, a guy called Jay Abraham. You may have heard of him. And he lives down the road from me. So I had this brilliant business idea. And I phoned him up one day and I said, look, I've got this idea, Jay. You know, you've got to read this. You know, you got to hear it. You got to hear my pitch. You know, you're going to want to be involved in it, boy, because we're going to make millions. And he was like, all right, come on down. It was the first time in my life that I actually did a PowerPoint presentation. I had all these different colors, bar graphs, statistics. It was everything. I puked everything I could onto this PowerPoint. And I went down to see Jane. And I went through this entire presentation with him. And he looked at it. And at the end, I looked and I was like, well, and he looked at me and he just rubbed his chin and he went, and I'll never forget him doing that. And then he went, is that it? And I thought, what the bloody hell do you mean? And so I said to him, are you mad? You know, I've got this, we're gonna do this. What do you mean, is that it? And he turned around and he said, I just thought with your connection to your ability, your focus, your reputation, your brand, I was just expecting a bit more. And I realized I had settled too low. Now, he wasn't doubting for a second that this would be successful. In fact, he said, yes, you do this, you will make millions. But if you did something more, you'd be able to do less and make more. as it was, we took, I think, like a small element of that plan, made the income we wanted to, but it was so much more than that. Didn't even do anything with like 2/3, probably about 80% of the PowerPoint, just didn't even do it. The bottom line of it is you need people there to challenge you to think differently. You need to creatively disrupt your industry and your life, because if you're not disrupting, you're being disrupted. And that's the thing. You've got to be in control of it. Don't let someone else be in control.
Yeah, no, I love that. And it's funny because we get this big idea of how we should do it. Like you said, you did the whole PowerPoint, did the whole presentation. And in reality, it's like, just go, just do, just be, just act. I think we're so afraid of failure. And in fact, it's not really failing. It's just a no now. Maybe we just need to position it a different way or level up or stuff. But for people like are listening to the show right now, how do they find those groups? Like I found my tribe, like with George and his friends, and you find your tribe. How do how do they find their tribe?
Well, the good thing is you don't even have to travel far to do it. The easiest thing you can do for a start is join Facebook groups, okay? It costs nothing, okay? So just join as many as you can. Shallow plug, because it's free of charge. I have one called an Entrepreneur's Advantage with Steve Sims. You may hate it, but you ain't going to know until you join it. It's free of charge. Join as many entrepreneur, Facebook, Twitter, Clubhouse, as many of these groups as you can. And then from that, decide to stick with the ones that aggravate, push, and make you think differently. And then get involved in those conversations. And then go, hey, where are you going? Oh, I'm going to an event in Miami. I'm going to go to that event. Hey, there's an entrepreneur event in Scottsdale. I'm going to drive across town and go to that. Start getting yourself into rooms where people demand more of you so you could do the same.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think it's also getting into rooms where you're not like the big brain. So like in my sales career, I've been the top guy. So when I'm there, everyone's asking me all these questions and all. But I get into rooms where people like blow my mind with what they're doing now. So I think that's going to make you just level up and rise up and change. And if you don't ever get in those rooms, you're really wasting time.
Oh, yeah. And you know, that's the thing. And that's probably the biggest thing I noticed with powerful people. They know they can make more money, okay? But they know they can't make more time. So they need to make sure that every hour has the impact that it possibly can. So you really need to focus on it. You ain't getting any prettier. You ain't getting any uglier or any younger. You got to focus on creating that impact within every hour. And that's another reason why COVID pissed me off. I loved COVID. There you go. I said it. It did so much for me. Sorry for all of those that went through pain. For me and my family, it was wonderful because it gave me extra hours in the day. I wasn't flying anywhere. I wasn't traveling anywhere. I wasn't working on an event. I had a 9-day week. And guess what? Everyone that I wanted to connect and communicate with, they were in the same boat as me. They weren't traveling. They weren't on a plane. They weren't on holiday. They were at home, almost waiting for my call. I absolutely love being able to get the most I could out of that time because you ain't going to get it again.
No, not at all. In fact, I think I heard on a different podcast you were on, did you start like a drink with Steve type of thing on a Friday? I can't remember what you termed it, but.
Yeah, it was a happy hour. So the whole thing was that every Friday night, I like to and it's not just Friday nights, but most Friday nights, I like to pour an old fashioned, just find a little quiet space in my home and literally just ask myself, did I earn this? Do I deserve this old fashioned? Did I put what I could into this week? Because I can't go, time out, wasn't on ball. I need that week back, So did I earn that week? No. What did I do wrong? Well, you're going to have to step it up next week, Steve, to be able to gain that momentum back. So I asked myself, so when COVID hit, and I think it was like the second week, and we all thought this was going to last a couple of months. None of us knew it was going to be 2.5 years, and in some parts of the world still going on. So I think it was like 2 weeks in, I went, people are bitching that they're not getting to hang out with each other. There's phones, there's FaceTime, there's Zoom. There's loads of different ways. What are they talking about? So I just went, look, I'm going to drink on a Friday night. Who wants to join me? Do you know we had about 200 and something people joining us on a Zoom call on a Friday afternoon at
That's
5
awesome.
till 6, 1 hour. And all we did was tell stupid dad jokes and just, hey, what's going on in your life? And it was wonderful. We ended up doing that for 2 years. It was ridiculous, but everyone loved it.
No, but it's that human connection again. It's that thing that you can't buy back. The connection with the people, the connection with who you're around, the connection just in general. And I think that's something with COVID that a lot of people finally slowed down and realized I need my time back. I'd rather work from home now, build my own thing than, go and punch a clock and all. Now, we're not dumb, but I always like to do this in the middle. This way they can't skip off. Where can people find you at?
Oh, God, I'm really easy to find. Steve D. Sims, D for dashing, 1M in Sims. You can grab the book, Go for Stupid, at Amazon or goforstupid.com. But Steve D. Sims, anywhere.com, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Look up Steve D. Sims, the ugly feather with an old fashioned. That'll be me.
No, that's awesome. So let's shift gears just a little bit because you've met a lot of really interesting people as well. What are some of the biggest takeaways or even craziest moments that maybe you haven't shared yet with someone that you met, or a crazy story? You can go any way you want.
A crazy story. Wow. So, there's a classic one. It's in the book. A lot of people know about it. I had a client that wanted a dining experience in Florence. So I've always believed never give a client what they ask for. If you do that, it's called a transaction. People pay you to be creative and disrupt. So he wanted a dining experience in Florence. I closed down the Accademia, the Gallery and Museum, set up a table of 6 at the feet of Michelangelo's David, and halfway through his meal at 9 o'clock at night, I brought in Andrea Bocelli to serenade him. So that's one of those crazy moments that I created. But I've met a lot of people that have actually thought differently, worked differently, viewed differently. And some of the craziest stuff I've had is when I've been in a room with powerful people having conversations and learning. I've had conversations with Peter Diamandis, with Tony Robbins, with the Vatican, with Ray Kurzweil, the founder of Siri, Larry Page. I've had these phenomenal conversations of how they recruit, how they invest, how they think of life, how they think of impact, what's crazy for them. And those have been some of the conversations where I've literally had to just get in the car, drive home, go around the corner to park up and just kind of let this sink in that I've just been having a conversation for the last hour with Elon Musk or Larry Page and what I got out of it. So that's been a very interesting period for me.
No, and I love all of that. So key point that I heard you say is don't be transactional. When you give something to someone, go above and beyond so that there's none of that transactional feel. You're giving them an experience that they will always remember. And then secondly, the impact of having the right people that are around you. And then the thing, and I'm going to ask you this because this is what I found, and maybe it's just I don't care. I see a big name person, I'll just talk to them. I'm assuming when you've talked to them, you're just talking to them like we're talking right now, just back and forth, and it's not the fanboy, for lack of a better term. It's funny to me that most people that I know that are successful don't get that actual connection with people because people are always asking to pick their brain or for a minute or for something like that instead of just, hey, you and me, Steve, we're shooting the shit here right now. Have you found that to be a key to being, when you've talked to successful people, do you like connecting with them, or you want to give us some insights on that?
So I had I have still a very powerful client in Poland. And I went over to Poland to see him. We were working on something. So I flew over from Los Angeles and I went to his office, and he had this massive, great factory. He was doing some unveiling. He said, come over, we're doing a cocktail reception for this unveiling. He had grabbed a suit out of his closet, and it was close, but it was a different blue material between the jacket and the trousers. And in certain light, it was very, very obvious that this wasn't the suit. He'd obviously mixed up the jacket and trousers of another very similar suit. And so as we were walking through, and it got to the end, and I got close to him because he'd been doing a lot of his handshaking and taking photographs. As we started to go up to his room, I said to him, I said, hey, you got the wrong suit on. And he went, what? I said, look at the trousers and the jacket. I guarantee you've got the exact same mismatched suit in your cupboard at home, ain't you? And he looked and he went, I freaking have. He said, you know something? No, he said, I turned up at 8 o'clock this morning. This is like 4:30 in the afternoon. He said, no one told me. He said, no one told me. He said, because they don't talk to you. They talk to the chairman of the company, or they talk to the head of the board, and they talk to one of the keynote investors. So they never talk to you. They talk to the title that's been given to you. He said, you're the first person that told me about the suit. And that's the trouble. A lot of people, and here's the daft thing. I rattled off a whole bunch of names to you. So let's rattle them off again. The Pope, Elon Musk, Larry Page, Jean-Paul Dujouria. All of those people share one thing in common. They were all broke. They were all poor. Okay? They know what it's like. They can relate to that. So when someone meets them and they go, oh, God, I'm having trouble with this because bloody hell, the budget's gone, or, I just lost my ass on that, or I gambled it all on this investment and shit, I got screwed up. They know that. They understand what that's like. But you don't think you can relate to these people. But those people want to be related to. By me just turning up, and you've known me, I turn up everywhere on my motorbike, black t-shirt, jeans, leather jacket, helmet, and I'm like, right, let's go. God, you look silly in that. And I talk to people. And for them, it's refreshing. The first thing that really made me go, this is crazy, was I would be talking to someone and sharing a joke, maybe taking the piss a little bit, maybe having a little bit of a gag, and then would go on about my day. And people at the event would come up to me and they'd be like, how can you talk to him like that? And I said, well, no, you're missing the point. I'm talking to him, not to his title,
100%.
Not to his pedestal, not to his paycheck. I'm actually communicating with him. Are you? And of course they're not, because they're all laughing at unfunny jokes or not pointing out he's wearing the wrong suit or all of these kind of things. And they're not communicating and they're not connecting.
Yeah, that's been the biggest key that I have found in my sales career in life. And I agree with you 100%. And it's like anytime I've gone to an event, I just go up and talk to people. Just like we're talking now. I love that, man. I think if people would realize it, I think successful people want to help, but they want it to be true and authentic. They don't want it to be the fanboy. Oh, this is Steve Sims. I can't talk to him. Oh my God. It's so crazy that people get caught up in that. Now, I know when I was younger, I'm sure I was doing that, but now I've gotten older enough, like either they're going to like me or not. And if they don't like me, then they're not the right person.
But here's a couple of things. Society does it. If you want, here's an example. You can watch this. You can see it in action. If you watch the Grammys, the Oscars, something like that, you see the celebrity walk past all of the people, and the people are calling them for a photograph, and the celebrity will come over. As they come over, watch the person asking for an autograph or a photograph. They will always lower their head. And if you notice, the celebrities always hold the pictures and the photographs like that, because it also puts them slightly higher than other people. Human psychology, that's what happens. True story. I had an event. I had a New York client of mine wanted to meet Sir Richard Branson. And Sir Richard was at an event that I was working with him on. So he was walking towards me, and I'm with my New York client. Now, I'm 240 pounds of ugly, and I'm a pretty big, marginally intimidating guy. My client was bigger than me. As Richard's getting closer to him, and my client's a billionaire, so he really ain't got to worry about paying the mortgage or, the phone bill that month. As Richard's getting towards him, he starts to lower his head and stoop. He's so fanboying that he's going to meet Richard Branson that he starts to lower himself. The only thing I could do, because I didn't have a lot of time, was literally from the back of him, I smacked him on the back of the head.
Nice.
And it was quite a slap. I didn't mean to scuff him as much as I did. But with that smack, He stood up, growled, and looked at me like he was gonna freaking kill me, just as Richard got in front of me. And I went, "Oh, Sir Richard, please let me introduce you." And the guy turned around. Now, of course, as he did that, he was up. He was in presence, chest down. He was like, "It's good to meet you." And they met as equals. And the daft thing is, how can you connect with someone when the first thing you do is stick them on a pedestal 5 foot higher than you? This guy met Richard as an equal. They actually have done business and they are actually friends. Now, afterwards, he said to me, "I see why you did that. Never touch me again. But I see why you did it." And he's often he's a big fella, and he's often had a joke of that. And he brings it up probably at every single cocktail party we ever have, because he's not the type of guy to be slapped and for someone to get away with it. But that's the situation. People, for some reason, just psychologically, society, we bow in reverence to people that we put on a pedestal, and we shouldn't.
Yeah, I think you just unlocked a big key for a lot of people, whether you're doing it in a business presentation, whether you're doing it when you're meeting people in general, they need to see you as an equal with them.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you might have heard my daughter in the background there. She was singing. So we always just bring everything onto the show. So as we wrap this up a little bit, Steve, is there any other words of wisdom, anything that we've missed on what we talked about today?
I think you've really got to focus on this is your life. You don't get a second one. I don't care what you think. You're not going to be reborn as a dog or something. This is it. It's a one shot. Don't waste it by listening to those people that are just too noisy. Focus on yourself. Have audacious goals. Go for stupid, ridiculous things, and then fail by achieving something far superior to what you would have settled at.
I love that, my friend. I love that. Where can people find your book?
You can find it on goforstupid.com, stevedsims.com, or you can jump on Amazon and just type in Go for Stupid, or even me, and you'll find BLUEFISHING on there as well. But it's very easy to find.
Awesome. I appreciate you being on the show, my friend. Have a wonderful day. And for all of you listening, share this episode. There's a lot of people you know that need to hear it. And until next time, go for the biggest thing you can think of and triple it.